nursery at Jaffery Academy, Mombasa, a teacher, facilitator, passionate early years practitioner with 21st years experience in the education field. I will be your moderator in today's session. We at Jaffery Academy are so glad you could join us today. Thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar. We are in the 21st century. Let's look at the nature of modern childhood, as well as the opportunities and challenges we have as caregivers. The modern child gets first-hand information compared to the previous centuries, where the only source of information was our parents, teachers, other caregivers, and probably siblings. That's why we're here today, to share and inspire you on ways we can raise resilient, adaptable, and future-ready children in a rapidly changing world. How do we tackle challenges parents and caregivers go through as they handle a 21st century child? How can we as a school or the community work together to protect and guide children while still allowing them to be flexible? How do we maintain the values and ethos regardless of the exposure to children? These are some of many questions we have as caregivers. Here's a quick overview of the agenda for today's webinar. We will have a presentation by a keynote speaker for 25 minutes. We will then have questions which we already have for our keynote speaker for around 10 minutes. We will open the floor for a Q&A for around 20 minutes. I now am excited to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Our keynote speaker joining us today is Dr. Zohraida Karim. Dr. Zohraida holds a PhD in early childhood education with 21 years of experience. She majors in psychology, brain development, and curriculum designing. She is the head of the Growing Tree Preschool in Dar es Salaam. So rest assured she's joining us all the way from Dar es Salaam. A motivational speaker, facilitator, author, mentor, and counselor. Dr. Zohraida also works closely with especially abled children. Thank you so much, Dr. Zohraida, for accepting to be our keynote speaker, and we are humbled to have you with us today. Thank you so much. Before we begin, let me just mention a couple of housekeeping issues. One is that this webinar is being recorded. When it's time, number two, when it's time for the Q&A and you want to submit a question, click on the Q&A section or the chat bubble and you can type in your question. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome, Dr. Zohraida Karim.
Hi, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Right. Thank you for the introduction, and it's an honor being here. So as much as you're excited to have me, I'm excited to be speaking to the participants this morning. You've already introduced me quite well. I know it's a difficult name and you pronounced it the right way, so I'm feeling good about it, but Dr. Zora, Zo, everybody knows me as that. So without taking much of your time, I'm going to get started because the topic today is quite a challenging one. So I'm just going to try and share my PowerPoint. Let me see if I can manage that because I usually have lots of technical glitches myself. Okay, there we go. I'm just getting there. Right. Is my screen visible? Okay, so what we're going to be discussing today is about how we're going to raise resilient children in the 21st century. So we all know we're going through an era where we ourselves don't know if we're prepared for tomorrow or not. And here we are trying to prepare tomorrow's children for an unknown future, an unknown world. It's a very scary yet exciting feeling because we're excited to know how a child thinks, how their brain develops, how we can scaffold them and prepare them for the world, and yet scary because we ourselves don't know what to expect. So, a little bit about myself. I always tell this to the people I talk to, especially when I'm mentoring or presenting, that each one of us is born to stand out, not to fit in, right? You always want to be the brightest shining star out there. You don't want to be part of the crowd. You want to stand out. And that's what I always tell people. So if you feel your child is different and doesn't fit in, you have a very special child, trust me. So as an experienced educator, I want to promote effective learning. I want to share experience. I want to bring a phenomenal change in the educational system, which I'm hoping to be able to do someday with my team. Because for me, paper exams do not define a child. You cannot grade a child by what they produce on paper. Children are special, they're unique. Someone could be very good on paper, someone could be good at presenting skills, someone could speak and sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo. That's how we need to look at children today, right? I've also written a book during my doctorate thesis, which is called Let Me Be Me. And the title totally suggests what I'm trying to say to people out there. Let me be who I am. And that's what each child is shouting out to us today. The one thing that we as parents or caregivers usually do is we dream our dream through our children. But with the way the world is going and how it should definitely be, we should dream our children's dream with them rather than imposing our dreams on them. So just a bit of a correction. It's not 21 years, but I have 23 years of experience. And the good news is, the exciting news is, from a preschool, we're now growing into a primary school as well. So August is a very new phase for my school, and we're super excited and hoping that inshallah everything goes well for us. I will be taking questions in the end, like you were informed. But for now, I'm going to do the talking. You can do the listening, and please note down your questions, right? So we're going to learn how to raise resilient children, children ready to adapt the 21st century norms, and not how we want them to fit in, but how we want them to stand out, and how we're going to support them and give them the correct guidance they need in an overpressurizing world where every child does not want to stand out. They want to fit in, right? And we don't want our children to come under peer pressure and fit in. We still want them to stand out. So the basic things that as parents, as educators, as caregivers, we need to understand is that the crust, the middle part of everything we do for our children is resilience. And around resilience, we have adaptability, flexibility, learning. So children possess an innate resilience as they stumble, fall, and cry, but get up quickly, right? Their cries and their failures change into laughter within no time because children are very innocent. But with this tendency, if we don't provide them the right mindset where we want them to grow the right way, we won't be guiding them the right way for life. So what I'm trying to say is it's challenging bringing up resilient kids, but we just need to give them the right kind of nurturing, the right kind of guidance, the right kind of norms that they need to practice and follow to assure a better future for them. So resilience is the ability to withstand difficult situations, learn from them, and bounce back stronger. I always tell people I talk to, I tell my youth that I speak with, I tell the adults that I talk to, when you fall down and make a mistake, I'm proud of you. And they give me a very confused look, thinking, what on earth is she talking about? But for me, the first step to success is making a mistake. Why? Because when you stand up after falling down, you stand up stronger, you stand up wittier, and you stand up smarter because you're not going to repeat that mistake again and you want to do it the right way. That's resilience, not giving up, right? And that's how we want children today to be. There's a famous psychotherapist called Lynn Loy who says, unlike the cultural approach that focuses on making children comfortable at all costs, we as parents must teach them to face the hurdles with arms open. Usually, when we were growing up, we would run away from sticky situations. We always wanted to be safe. Today's children are very curious. They want to land in sticky situations to find out the who, what, why, where, when, and how. So our parents raised us very differently to protect us. Today, the way we raise our children is not just to protect them, but to allow them to make certain mistakes, which are doable mistakes, to learn from them. Of course, we don't want them to jump into a situation where they can't swim out of, but we are there to support them because we're preparing them for a future, like I said, an unknown future, right? Moreover, the children also learn about emotional strength from their caregivers and parents by observing how the later reacts to the situation. If our children are not resilient enough and they land in a situation that is very scary, they're looking at us. And if we're going to show fear and scare, that's what they're going to learn from us, right? Because children learn what they live and they imitate what they learn, they live as well, right? So, the 21st century kid, it has become such a huge thing and such a norm talking about the 21st century kid. But what is the 21st century kid? Do we know? We'll discuss that in a bit. But let me tell you what I feel the 21st century children are all about. When we talk about the 21st century children, it evokes a radical change. It's an image of a change, turning the corner from a previous way of being a normal person into a person we don't know. That's how we parents feel today, that do I really know my child? Is this really my child? How come they're so different from us? Why do they not have the same practices we had? Why don't they understand the same languages that we did? What is the slang? How is it that we can keep up with our children? How do we fit into their circle? These are the common questions we all have as parents and as caregivers. But my question to you is, are we still trying again to fit into their circle? Or are we trying to make them create their own circle where they're leaders? So, a new century, the 21st century, brings endless opportunities. It really, really depends on how we look at it. The 21st century brings endless opportunities, but potentially endless risks as well. There's always the good of a situation and the bad of a situation. It depends on how we take it, how we train our children, and how we prepare them for the future, once again. Yet, although modern children's lives have changed in many ways, they need to understand, and we also need to remember, there's a fine line between what a child has the liberty to decide and what we as parents decide for them. We do not want children to become rebels by thinking, my parents decide everything for me. When am I going to live my life? How come I don't have the independency? How come my friends make decisions? We want to be our children's friend. It is a pride if your child turns around and says, you know what, dad, or you know what, mom, you are my best friend. That's the kind of relationship and the situation we want to be in today. People may think I'm a modern parent, but in the modern world that we live, we need to be that way. I mean, I like giving personal examples because I can resonate better, and you would also resonate because it's a personal experience. For me, my daughter, who's 18 years old, I know I look young, don't ask my age, just joking. So my daughter is 18 years old and my son is 14. So for my daughter, the relationship I had with her was very much similar to what my mom had with me. And I always ask my daughter, I'm like, so do you have a guy friend? She's like, yeah, mom, I study in a co-eds. I have lots of friends who are guys and girls. I said, so who's the special guy friend? She's like, what do you mean by special? All my friends are special. I said, okay, let's come down to things. Do you have a boyfriend? And she gives me the look, she's like, what kind of a mom are you? You're asking me if I have a boyfriend? And you're so chilled about it? I'm like, yes. So the day you do have a boyfriend, a person who you like very much, tell me about it. We go out for coffee together. And she just burst out laughing, like, what kind of a mom are you? But here, what is happening? If my daughter trusts me enough, the day she does have a crush, the day she feels she just more than likes one of her friends, the first person she will turn to and feel comfortable talking to would be her mother, right? So these are the kind of open relationships you need to have with children in the 21st century. And I'm not talking about her just because she's a teenager. I've had young children walk up to me because they feel embarrassed discussing these things with their parents. And I wish we would break that embarrassment. They would walk up telling me, I need to understand the good touch, the bad touch. I'm going through puberty. Can you explain these things to me? So if children as young as 9, 10, and 11 have these questions, and if we are not going to be the first people to answer them, if they turn outside for these answers and they turn to the wrong person, do you know what's going to happen to your child? So you need to be the best friend to your child in the 21st century, right? So here are a few ways you can raise resilient children. It's very, very important for you as parents and as caregivers to make a strong emotional connection. Unfortunately, the way we were brought up, or particularly the way boys were brought up, when a man cries, or rather, let me say, when a boy cries, till date, I hear parents saying, "You're a boy. You're not supposed to be crying. You need to be strong and show the world you're a man." Don't boys have hearts? Don't boys have feelings? They do. Of course they do, right? I tell parents that if you're going to train your boy not to cry and to be strong and just bottle up everything, when they grow up and it's time for them to get married and lead a happily married life, they're going to be so stoned, they will not understand emotions, and then your child's marriage starts having problems. So not only does your son have a problem, but the daughter who's married your son has a problem. If they have children, the children have problems because the father will not understand them. Allow any child to cry when they need to. Don't tell them, "Stop crying, be strong." Tell them it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel lighthearted. And when you feel you're okay to talk about it, I'm waiting to hear you. I'm here for you. You're raising strong emotional children, right? And strong emotional doesn't just mean crying. It means preparing them to face any situation strongly and telling them that it's okay to make a mistake in situations, but it's also okay to reach out and ask for help. As an adult, it's not embarrassing for me to say, "Hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to this. Can you help me?" Because there is no human being on earth who has the answers to everything. I learn from my students, from my teachers, from my adults every single day, and I take pride in learning because that's the way forward. The second point, maintain a daily routine. Children love conformity. They love to know that they're in control. If all of a sudden you come home and tell your son, "You know what? You don't have soccer today, we're going swimming." But the child was mentally prepared for soccer, the bag is ready, their mind is in a particular momentum. Why do you make changes last minute? This is a very basic example. But they are not used to last minute changes because their brain works in such a way that it files information in a particular order, and they like affirmativeness. Third, encourage healthy risk taking. Now, like I said, let them jump into situations which you feel they can swim out of. If you see your child having a heated discussion, and I won't say argument, a heated discussion, and there's a lot of productivity from that discussion, like they're asking. Let me give you an example, right? We say that God is there. A lot of times children ask us, "But how come I can't see this God?" Whatever religion you are, "I don't see God. Where is God? Show me God." And we tell the children, "But you feel God. God has created feelings, love. He's created the world." These are healthy discussions, right? Because the questions are good, it's thought-provoking, we give them references, we provide them with research. But if you see your child getting into a feast fight with another child and you know that it's going to hurt either one of them, you don't want them to take this kind of risk because it's not healthy for them. That's the time when you should step in, not by saying, "Stop fighting," because there, again, you're putting an end to a situation which your child may be in later on, where you won't be there to put an end. When you want to go and stop a fight, say, all right, listen, let's calm down. Let's take things easy. Let's use our words and not our hands. Let's try and sort this amicably without hurting one another. Those are the kind of suggestions you should provide to raise resilient children. Remember, it's a world where everybody will be trying to feed children negatively, unintentionally. I'm not saying that you might have family members who are guiding your children not the way you would want them to, but to them that is correct. So unintentionally, they might be telling your children to do particularly, which you're not in favor of. So dicey situations, vulnerable situations, but as parents and caregivers, you can take charge. The fourth, promote acknowledgement, right? Acknowledge that, yes, this has happened. It's okay. You can work around it. It shouldn't happen again, though. If you know it's gonna have a negative repercussion, Promote acknowledgement can also be positive. Wow, I didn't know you could do that. Look at you. You cooked a meal from scratch without your mom helping you. Excellent. That's acknowledgement. Even as adults, when we do something remarkable, we're waiting for people to appreciate us just because it makes us feel good. So imagine children, they're waiting to be acknowledged because it makes them feel good about themselves. And today, not only children, even humans want to feel good about themselves, the adults. 5, teach emotion labeling. You don't expect your children to always be happy, smiling, positive. A very common example I will give you, husband and wife. When they come back from work, tired, exhausted, let's say the wife is receiving the husband. How come you've come back looking so tired? You've put up your face. You've had a hard day at work, and now I have to face it. You're labeling your husband's mood, aren't you? Maybe he's just not feeling well. He has a bit of a headache. So don't label his emotion negatively. Rather than labeling, maybe you ask, seems like you've had a challenging day. Is everything okay? Your husband might say, you know what, I'm just not feeling well. So the label is, I'm unwell. Same way, when your child comes home, let's say the father is receiving the child, and the child comes in all messed up because he's had a lovely soccer game. Look at you, messy child, irresponsible. You've just labeled your child. The child comes home excited, wanting to tell his dad and mom all about his soccer game and how he felt when he scored a penalty and how everybody cheered him. What did you just do? You labeled the child irresponsible, broke the excitement, broke the confidence, broke the self-esteem. The child was sulking away into his room thinking, well, there goes again. I didn't prove myself to my parents. So it's very important not to label their emotions. Okay? 6, encourage problem solving. Like I said, if they're in a situation, they're trying to solve a problem through discussion, so be it. I'm going to talk about this a little more deeper, and I hope I have enough time. So problem solving. Again, like I said, I use personal experiences. When my son was 2 years old, he was in a very formal kind of preschool. And this preschool usually documents, and we have to give permission, of course. And they were videoing a situation which apparently was my son. And they were outside having sand and water play. And that particular day, they had taken wild animals into the sand. There was a plastic table on which my son, Kaylee, was trying to make the plastic animals stand. Plastic animals, plastic table. Of course, they didn't stand, they toppled. So the teacher was videoing the whole thing. Okay, what is he going to do next? He took dry sand, poured it on the table, put the animals inside. They still fell. This is a 2.5, 3-year-old child. He's thinking, what do I do? What do I do? He did not ask for help. He took water, mixed it with the sand, made it a thick consistency, put the animals inside, and hey, bingo, the animals were standing. What happened over here? A 3-year-old was given the opportunity to problem solve, think for himself, encourage critical thinking. We are working on the cognitive development, which is the front part of the brain. And the best part was that the teacher showed trust in the process rather than jumping in to give the solution. What did this teacher do? She prepared my son for the future where he would face problems and there wouldn't be anyone to jump in and solve it. She was scaffolding because she was watching, but he used his own prior knowledge to solve the problem. This is how we need to bring up our children today. Not give them a problem, 2 minutes, become impatient, say, you know what, here, let me help you solve this. You're teaching your children there that I'm always going to be there to help you, which is not true. We need to encourage problem solving for our kids without jumping in, unless it's a dire situation and we see them struggling and getting frustrated. We walk in there to show that there's always someone in the end they can turn to, right? Number 7, develop coping mechanism. This is very, 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 very important, not just for children, but for adults as well. Frustration, anger, mood, tantrums. These are things that children have, and adults, children have so often, but we need to give them coping mechanism. The one thing I tell children who are adolescents and they have anger management issues, I tell them, you know what, the first thing you need to do is count to 10, calm down, have a glass of water, do deep breathing, anything which you feel is going to calm you down. Or think of your favorite situation, think of a favorite rhyme, think of something like reciting Or think of a place you like being at, picture in it, and then discuss. Don't start yelling at someone, or don't start getting angry at someone. Don't start lashing out. Calm down first. Everybody has their own coping mechanisms. Please do remember that children are not born with manuals. Neither does parenting come with a manual. Every child is different. Every child has different coping mechanisms. Every parent has different ways of raising children. There is no right way, there is no wrong way, because every parenting style is unique. Every child born is unique. So here what I'm doing is I'm giving you suggestions which usually work, but you might have to implement it differently. So like I said, coping mechanism. Again, I'm going to give you a little bit of a situation of my own daughter. Asma is a perfectionist and everything has to be perfect, but we're in a world that not everything can really be perfect. So she's had to learn and how to cope with everything not being perfect. And she usually, when something is not perfect, usually she sits down, analyzes the situation, looks at it thinking, why is it not perfect? It's not the way I want it to be. And then because she's at that age, she puts the pros and the cons and makes decisions. But that's her coping mechanism, analyzing techniques. So you need to understand what your child's coping mechanism is, support it and promote it as well. Motivate your child to help others. We live in a world where we don't want to support the most selfish one-letter word, which is I. We want to promote the most loving, most humble, most kind two-letter word, which is either we or us. When we teach our children empathy, sympathy, belongingness, we're teaching them how to help others. Remember, what goes around comes around. Today, if you teach your child these positive qualities of helping others, they will be helped as well. This is a resilient child who's there to say, no, that child or that person is not being helped. I'm going to stand out and go and help the person. In today's selfish or fast-paced world, if you see someone falling down and you see you're going to miss the bus and you have a very important interview to attend, I would say, unfortunately, 70% of the people, because of the demands of the world, would jump onto the bus just to make it for their interview because they really need the job. Whereas 30% would definitely say, you know what, I will get there late. I will explain them the situation, but I'm going to help this person. And on explaining the people who are ready to interview me the situation, if they understand that I was being humble, if I was being empathetic and I'm being honest, if they give me the opportunity for the interview, those are the right people to work with. But if they tell me you're lying, you're fibbing, these are excuses, you know that your job over there isn't going to be a happy one. But there's always a lot of analyzing to do, right? 9, embrace mistakes. Today's children do not like making mistakes. They don't like being told they are wrong. They just want to be right all the time. But if they notice or witness, or you share experiences with them that you've made mistakes and you've learned through those mistakes, they will not be scared making mistakes. For instance, just last week, my children asked me to make a new dish. I love cooking. I love experimenting, and sometimes it costs me, but I learned from it. They asked me to make a particular Thai cuisine. I'm not good with Thai, I do Chinese, and I made a mess. When I served it, the first bite, and I got all my answers. But my children and my husband were trying to force it down. I said, listen, I know it's not the best I've made. You don't have to force it down. I've tried. I made a few mistakes. The ingredients were not the right ones. I'm going to learn from it. And my children are looking at me saying, did our expression show it? We didn't mean to hurt you. We're so sorry. I said, no. If you love me truly, and if you want to guide me, you should be telling me that, Mom, we know you've tried, but unfortunately, there's something wrong over here. I will learn through my mistakes and I will work harder to make it perfect. And they're looking at me thinking, you don't mind making a mistake? You don't mind being told you're wrong? I said, no. I love it when I'm told I'm wrong because my brain then goes into a particular speed and motion telling me, you know what, you're going to try it again next week and you better get it right. Because that's how the world is and that's how I look at situations. I love people who admit to mistakes because that shows you they're ready to learn. We need to encourage this in our children because they're going into an unknown world. Unknown world will have unknown situations which will make them make unknown mistakes, but they will learn from this unknown mistakes to make it a known experience to them, right? And 10, help them accept change. Now this one, a very tricky one. If you are not ready to accept change yourself, how are you going to help them accept the change, right? So you need to accept that you're going into a world where everything is changing. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations. Accept it and tell children to accept it in a positive way, not in a stressful way, okay? So a very quick thing, which I have already covered, but I really love this research. I'm going to quickly share it. 8 ways to build resilience in your child, building confidence, show your support, build connections with your child, allow children to express their feelings, be consistent, teach them the importance of healthy behaviors, be patient, model a positive outlook. Okay, so is your child ready for the future? Is your child ready for the future? So what we need to do is accept kids as they are and not compare them with other kids. It's a common norm of parents to compare the children with other children. And then parents tell me, oh, it was unintentional. Is it really unintentional? We want our children in today's world still to bring you those A's, to be the best top ranker in class, to come first, to stand out in the crowd with the best of results. Let me tell you something about myself. You might wonder how I have a doctorate after this statement, but I started a TED Talk in the month of March 2019, or was it 2020? March 2019, if I'm not mistaken, because 2020 COVID hit us. I started a TED Talk with so many youth in the room, with teachers in the room, and here I am, jeopardizing my name, my career, my future, and I was opening a school then, so this was March 2020. And I stand on stage in front of everyone and I'm live on air and I very proudly say, and even today I'm very proudly saying, I'm a proud graduate with F in math. If you're smiling, giggling, or thinking, what? And here she is talking to us about the future. If the universities were to judge me with the F that I had in math, I would not be where I am today. No doubt. It was very difficult for me to get through into university. But there was one particular university, when I put my application, I said, before you reject me because of my F in math, do not judge me because of a paper result. Allow me the opportunity to have an online session with you, or come and meet you, talk to you, sell myself and my ideas to you, sell my passion to you. Because if you don't give me that opportunity, in the future, you'll be sorry for what you've lost. I don't know where I got the guts from or where I got the confidence from to say that, but today I'm not saying it with pride, but I am saying it with honor that the university has been so happy with the work that I have been able to do, that a lot of children have been in touch with me to understand that, okay, so I have had F's in life. Does that mean my future has come to an end? Does that mean my career has come to an end? No, it hasn't. I only did my bachelor's and my master's after that F. And after becoming a mother of 2, that's when I attained my doctorate. So nothing in life is impossible. So not comparing children, because my cousins were, I'm the only child, but my cousins were A-star, all into medicine. I could never make it there, although I have the title doctor, which my parents really, really wanted. I was not like the other people in my family. I just never understood math. I still don't understand how A plus B equals C, or why I have to prove that 2 lines are parallel to each other. How is it going to help me? Of course, it's going to help the children today who are doing engineering and physics and stuff. So I'm not against math, but for me, my brain just never understood all these equations and stuff, right? So when kids are confident in their skin, they develop intrinsic qualities at an early age that help them prosper in the future. We accept our children the way they are, of course, guiding them, wanting the best for them, but still preparing them for a future which is unknown. How? Here are a few factors as a family that will help children. So your family, parents, relatives, caregivers, right? Extended family, immediate family. The first thing is affecting parenting style. There's 4 kinds of parenting styles. Now that's another topic for another day. But be not the permissive one or the parent that keeps punishing, but the parent that's the supporting kind, right? Supporting with a fine line between discipline and spoiling as well. We don't want to spoil our children, but we want to positively discipline them as well. Minimal family stress. I know of very young children who get affected academically, emotionally, socially because of what they witness at home between family stress and having arguments in the family and stuff. Let us try and keep our children away from all of this because it really, really affects them. We need children to have a sense of belongingness, not like when a child comes in and you start kind of, gossiping, extended family, oh, he was in trouble last week, he doesn't score well. You don't want to do this. You want the children to feel they belong. However your child is, they belong to you. So accept them the way they are, whether clever, whether average, special, accept them. They belong to you. A sense of safety where your children can come and talk to you about anything, discuss anything with you, ask guidance on anything with you. Unfortunately, right now, there's so much going on about LGBTQIA+. There's something new every day. Every other person is asking, how do I go about it? How do I discuss it? Unfortunately, it's there. It's out there. It's a norm. It's a fact. Certain curriculums have made it mandatory. Certain storybooks say, my two dads or my two moms. I'm not saying we promote it. Other countries support it. I am saying when it comes to you, don't say, no, these are things we don't discuss. Hey, discuss it. Guide your children. Explain to them what it is about being normal. Explain to them about how to curb feelings. Explain to them how to think carefully before making decisions and how to make decisions through consulting experienced people, counselors, adults around them. That's a sense. When you create that kind of bond between you and your child, they will remain safe. They will not go outside looking for these answers, like I said it earlier. They will come to you looking for these answers, right? Zero drugs or alcohol consumption. I know children today want to experience everything because they want to fit in. But at home, if you have open conversations from very young as to talking about what are the repercussions of alcohol, of drugs, of peer pressure, CBD, weed, they're at an age where they are offered all these kinds of things. But if you've already discussed it and you discuss it, it makes you feel okay for some time, and then the destruction starts, and then your downfall starts. For boys, if you want to get into the soccer career, before you've even started it, you're coming to an end. For girls who want to get into the world of fashion designing, if you have these traits, you cannot get into it. So when you give them examples where they can foresee the future coming to an end before it has even started, they will understand that these things are not right for them, right? And that you only want the best for them. Another thing is offering them sound parental mental health. Not only because of COVID, even before COVID, the kind of stress the schools or the academic norm or the family norms had on children unintentionally, it has affected children to a certain extent. When you and I were young, we used to play on the streets, we used to play hide and seek, we used to find pleasure in the tiniest things of hanging out, giggling away, talking about dreams. Today, things have changed so much that when you ask children, do you want to play catch or tag or ice and water? And they're like, what are those? I really feel that our children have not even enjoyed half of life the way we have, honestly. So in all the stressfulness of life, in all the tricky situations of life, mental health is very, very important. And just remember one thing, your children's mental health will only be positive if your mental health is secure, right? If you're happy, your children will be happy. I always say, you know how in the flights, in the airplanes, they say, first wear the oxygen masks yourself before you help the others. You need to be all of these examples I've given you. You need to practice all of these before you can help your children. Again, another topic for another day, where we need to prioritize ourselves before we can help others, right? So, individual factors again, talking about adaptability, the physical health, self-esteem, higher cognitive competencies, which is the brain development, adaptive emotional skills, communication and social skills, having the ability to dream and set goals. These are things you need to help your child with to make them resilient and ready for the 21st century. For instance, my son wants a career in soccer. I don't know how much he can achieve coming from Dar es Salaam, going out into the international world. But hey, I have faith in him. I have faith in his dreams. I have faith in his goals. And every time he comes to me, I say, of course you can do it. Just day before yesterday, a parent was telling me, you're a career guidance counselor. what if someone, or she's like, what if your son tells you they want a career in sports? What would you say? I say, you know what? I'd be jumping with joy. They're like, but why when you know it doesn't have too much? I said, who wants too much? I'm not looking at the amount they earn. I'm looking at my son's dreams, his capacity, his ability, his aspirations. He wants to get into the world of sports. So be it. Because he wants to do it, he's going to excel in it. My daughter, she always wanted to do medicine. When she got into IB1 and she had to choose her subjects, I suggested to her child psychology. She took it up and she enjoyed it so much. Like every parent, I say, don't dream your dreams. And I thought, oh, my daughter wants to do medicine, so Asma's going to be wearing the white coat. I started dreaming that way. And when she said she wants to become a clinical psychologist, I said, okay, we're saying goodbye to the white coat, but hey, she can have her own clinic. She can practice. It's making her happy. I'm happy for her. And then she tells me, but you know what, Mom? I'm going to do my PhD in clinical psychology so I can work in a hospital because I want to wear a white coat. I'm like, okay, so you live your dream and here, dreams are going to come through. Honestly speaking, her first year of university were moments where she had her meltdowns, but she came up stronger. She would tell me, Mom, I want to come back to you. I can't do this. I said, it's fine. If you feel you can't do it, come back to me. We'll do something together from here. But I know that they are resilient because that's how I brought them up. And she's like, no, Mom, I feel so good hearing that from you because I know I can come back to you, but no. I know I can do this. Can I do it, Mom? I'm like, of course you can if you have the faith and trust and believe in yourself. Because of the kind of open communication I've had with her, I've helped her build herself for a future where she can make decisions, but after talking to the right people in her life, right? So, preparing children for the future. This is a topic everybody must be smiling about. I can't see you, but I'm imagining you're all smiling. The 21st century, the future. Social media has taken such a big control of our lives. So, is it a curse or is it a blessing? Social media platforms, apart from our children being able to get a lot of information when it comes to their research, news, technology that is helping their future, there is a lot of positive about media, no doubt, the positive side of media or the positive side of technology. But the curse or the cons, I would say, of social media is the kind of pressure our children come under. Instagram, when they see their friends having the best of lives, which actually may not be the best of life, but they're trying to post pictures which show that they're very, very happy because they're trying to fit in. What happens here is they start comparing themselves. Oh, my friend just went to Hawaii. They came back and now they're in Maldives and they're coming back and in 2 weeks they're going to, let's say, New York, LA. How come I don't have these opportunities? The comparison starts. Twitter, how many followers do you have? How many YouTube followers do you have? Are you a famous YouTuber? Do you fit in? Are you a famous person? The kind of effects our children come into. Now, I'm not saying that take this away from them, right? Because you don't want to take away from them their liberty of staying on the same page as their friends, to understand what's happening around them. If I talk about myself, I didn't know how to use Instagram until 2 years ago, where my daughter started teaching me. Why? Because I wanted to not advertise myself as a person, but the work I do, because I feel I need to reach out to people and share my expertise. And now as well, I'm so bad with Instagram. My daughter is handling my school page for me, and I'm still learning from her. But what we discuss at home is the positives of how to use social media, quite literally, because not only children, but there are some women I'm counseling who are actually having such a hard time at home because they're comparing themselves with their friends that, oh, my friend has such a happy married life. She's out every weekend. They go to new restaurants. They go to new places. They travel. My husband doesn't love me, and this and that. And I literally tell these women, you need to stop comparing yourself, number one. Number two, if you still are in the habit of comparing yourself, compare yourself to the real things of life. If you right now were to call your friend, maybe she has traveled, maybe she has posted something, but maybe she's not as content as you are. But we don't need to show these things to the world. You know, social media is another topic again for another day. But talking to your children about such platforms, staying with them on the same page, again, open communication is very, very important because there is external pressure. And unfortunately, as parents and caregivers, it's not in our control to to kind of, block all these negativities from our children. We can't keep hugging our children to us. They have to go out into the real world. They need to learn how much they can give in to such kind of things and how much they need to say, no, stop, I don't like it. You don't want your child to keep saying, oh, no, 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 I can't have an Instagram account because my mom doesn't like it. Oh, no, 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 I don't want to have a YouTube channel of my own because my mom doesn't like it. Then they will be picked on. They will be mocked at. If you are saying that there's something you don't like, don't say no, because children become very defiant. But if you tell your child that I really don't prefer you having a YouTube channel just as yet, maybe we can look into it later. The first question that will come to you is, but why, mom? My friend has it. Well, why? Because I just feel we can still learn more about the YouTube platform. We need to learn about how we want to be safe. We don't want people to hack into our pages. We want to know the right of kind material to share. So I feel let's look into it a little more. So you're explaining your child that you understand, you care, and that you will allow it later on, but after you've done your fact finding. This will also show your child that, oh yeah, I haven't understood all these things yet. I just want to jump into it. What if my followers don't like my stuff? What if I don't become the person I want to become for myself? So they also start doing fact finding. Again, there's a lot I can talk about on this particular topic, but I'm very time bound. Another thing right now, I know I have 2 minutes to go, just a little bit and I should be done, inshallah. Artificial intelligence. Again, this is something that I myself don't understand and I feel very scared about, but I'm learning. Artificial intelligence is slowly taking over the world, like quite literally. And there are advantages to it, but I see so many other disadvantages. Like the one that has become really famous right now is the ChatGPT. And somebody the other day was telling me, you know what? Now, if I want to write an essay, I'm just going to talk to ChatGPT, put it there. I'll get a 1,000-word essay, 3,000-word essay, submit it. And I'm like, what? What on earth is ChatGPT? Like I said, I don't know it all. I started researching and it is super scary, especially for an educator myself. I'm like, oh my God, everything is on it. But here is what the catch is. Everything is on it, but it doesn't show originality because it's all research from Google. It's all copy paste. It's not your original work. So even for those smart ones out there who use ChatGPT, when you submit your essays and your research work, what happens now is the universities are also smart. They just copy paste your entire essay onto ChatGPT to verify if it is from there or not, or they just put some keywords from your essay onto ChatGPT to see, and if your essay is from ChatGPT, immediately you're disqualified or you're graded with an F for that essay. But yes, ChatGPT has the answer to everything, but again, not original. So there are advantages. ChatGPT can solve a lot of engineering stuff, a lot of technical issues, a lot of things that we can do because we are the ones who have designed the artificial intelligence, but it would take us longer because we work together as a team. This is a one-time thing, but there's lots of disadvantages compared to the 1 or 2 advantages that artificial intelligence has. And this is what we need to explain our children, because already my children at this age are talking about AI, artificial intelligence. And like I said, it's a very scary world out there. When I first heard about this, I was scared. I said, already, if my children are going through this, what are their children going to go through? It's a very scary phase. But look at the disadvantages. If you tell your children that if you start banking so much on artificial intelligence and you want a career out there which you are studying for and working towards, you're going to be unemployed. Because artificial intelligence can do counseling if that's how you're going to program it. Artificial intelligence will design robots that can be soccer players. Artificial intelligence, already we are landing on autopilot. There are bullet trains in the world that are running on autopilot as well, where it's being where the trains are being ridden by just a machine. If you show these cons to the children from now, they will understand that the more they support these kinds of things, they are going to be left unemployed, and nobody wants to face such a future, right? Artificial intelligence has high production cost. There is no emotional connection to it, and it has a lot of other disadvantages. I've only named a few. So we need to talk about these things to our children when we are preparing them for the 21st century, right? If we are building resilient children, we would not have to prepare them for even AI, because these would be children who want to have emotional connection. They are honest about their work. They want to live their dreams and their goals, which artificial intelligence cannot provide them with. Right? So, how our children in the 21st century come under peer pressure? How we as adults, even right now, come under peer pressure? We have fingers pointing at us. We have people not understanding us. We have people saying, oh, they don't fit in. They're so different. But, you know, when this would happen, when people point at our children and when they would feel insecure, is when we just spend quantity with them and not quality time with them. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit. Quantity. What is quantity? The amount of things. What is quality? The essence of spending time with your child. Today, in the fast-paced world, the biggest thing we don't have on this triangle is time. Parents are working, so I'm just going to take a few more minutes and then I'm going to wind up and take the questions. Both parents are working. They leave the house. They drop the kids at school. Children have their own routine. After school, they have their extra classes. They have their soccer. They might have their tuitions. They might have their religious education. They might have to stay after school to cover up on some lesson material, or they just go hang out at a friend's because there's no parents at home to look after them. And I'm not blaming parents. Both of us need to work in today's era to make ends meet. And then what happens is parents come back home in the evening. They meet their child only at 6 o'clock. Again, father is busy on the computer finishing very important work. The mother is answering important emails that need to be submitted, or tomorrow she's going to get into trouble. The child is just looking at them thinking, oh, okay, so I don't think I'm really important anymore. No quality life. What they're doing is raising the standards high to earn more of a salary, quantity of life, quantity of money, right? That's what we're looking at. We want a good car, we want a good phone, we want a good lifestyle. But in that we're losing our children. So the child is observing this happening. Time for dinner. The mother has prepped up something, hoping that the child likes it. The child says, thank you, mom, for doing this for me. They had a half an hour meal very quickly, because again, the parents may be having other commitments, or maybe they want to go outside, or maybe they have something to finish. 8:30, 9 o'clock, the child goes off to bed. The parents continue working, or they have a bit of their me time. It was a very silent dinner discussion because the child was feeling awkward, didn't know what to discuss. Parents were quiet as well. Literally 6 to 9, 3 hours out of 24 hours of the day you have with your children. And this is the reality. It's not something I'm cooking up. Let's see how we can reverse things and do things a little differently. You have a 9 to 5 office job. Make sure you leave at 5. Every company has policies. Stick to your policies. Latest 5:30, leave the office. Make sure your child is home by that time. When you go home, prioritize your child, your children, please. And I repeat, please, I reiterate myself. Put aside your phones. Put aside your gadgets. Put aside work. Switch off the work button in your mind. It is now you, your children, and the quality time your child needs that you need to make up that you haven't been able to spend during the time. Do not have your children's schedules planned for after 5:30, thinking, okay, let my child go out. I'll have some me time. I need to unwind. Unwind later on. Right now, your child is the person who really, really needs you, right? So dedicate your time to your child. Ask them how their day was. Have discussions. Talk about the challenges you face at work. Ask them what challenges they face. Ask their advice that I'm in this situation at work. If you were in this situation, what do you think you would do? They would give you their answers as innocent as they be, whatever age they may be. I mean, I was talking to my nephew who's just like 4 years old, and I said, you know what? I have so much of screen time that my back really hurts. What do you think I should be doing? That innocent kid, Auntie, you need to minimize your screen time. And I would suggest your posture is not right. You need to sit up more straight. You need to do some yoga exercises because my teacher says that. I was just having a healthy discussion. When am I building quality time? Later on during the week, when I met my nephew, I'm like, hey, you know what? I actually started yoga. Thanks for your advice. It really helped. What did I do? I just built my nephew's self-confidence, self-esteem. I built his confidence of giving advice and getting appreciation in return. That's what children today need. It's not the amount of money you can earn to give the best phone, the best gadget, or the best education to your child. We grew up being told that if you want to study, you can even study under a tree. It's your own determination and the support from your family. So it's not, the life that we're living is not a rat race. where we're all rushing to get better jobs, better money, better security. Please remember, your children are your first responsibility. Dinner time. Dinner time is the most beautiful time in my household because we've made it a rule, no phone zone. 6 o'clock, the phones go into a wooden box and we don't touch our phones until 9 o'clock at night. If there's an emergency, you have a landline, there's an emergency, the person will call. No WhatsApp, no Instagram, no Facebook messaging, no Messenger. 3 hours of undivided attention for the family, for the children, for the questions. Dinner time, we'll talk about what's happening in Ukraine, what happened with the submarine that just got lost and 5 people died. Why would they want to do such a thing? Was it their passion of finding out about the Titanic? What happened between the Syria-Turkey earthquake? These are the discussions. This is what you should be discussing. The pros and cons of the artificial intelligence, the pros and cons of social media. If these are the kinds of healthy discussions we have during our important family time, you are already building resilient children ready for the 21st century. Then you don't need to go to any counselor saying, my child has come under peer pressure, my child is doing drugs, my child doesn't listen to me. Because you're already giving the best to your child, they would not need to go outside looking for these things. The most fundamental thing today, in today's life, that we can give our children, which is the best gift, is quality time. And it's not impossible. We all work, but we need to learn how to prioritize and make time, right? Again, there's a lot I can say, but I'm really, really time bound. And in today's world, we need to discipline rather than punish. I will ask the organizers to share this PowerPoint with you so you can go through it more deeper. But in a world where our children are scared of fitting in, look at this picture. We want them to stand out. But with our support, our guidance, our quality time, they will be strong enough to be able to stand out. This is the child we want to prepare for the 21st century. We want them to strongly and confidently stand out, making the right choices, making the right decision, under the right guidance, with the true friendship which you will portray and show your children, right? And these are the skills that your children must possess in the 21st century. They need to be globally aware. They need to have the research skills, which is what you can do, showing the pros of social media and Google, media literacy, using media the right way, interpersonal skills. When they see how you talk to others, they will learn from you. They will apply that as well. Problem solving, which I've discussed, ability to read and understand. When I mean read, I don't mean read storybooks, but read whatever is given to them, understand the material, apply it in the real world out there, and the ability to collaborate with others, right? So a lot of us as parents go on a guilt trip, but please don't, because there's always room for improvement. There's always a new day to make a new beginning and a new start. So don't consider yourself as a failure, whether you're a caregiver, educator, or parent, because failure is not falling down, but failure is refusing to get up and try again. That's why I said, if you make a mistake, that's the beginning of you becoming a stronger person. Sorry, I wrap it up very fast because I'm time bound, but I'm done with my presentation, and thank you so much for listening. Over to you. I'll be taking your questions now. Sorry, Ms. Mwanaidi, you're not audible.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Today I've had quite a bit of technical glitch on my end. Thank you so much. That was beautiful and insightful. We truly appreciate. Just maybe a quick summary from your presentation. I'm getting it that parents need to be friends to their children. They really need to create a safe zone for their children. By being friends with your children, parents, they will come to you when they have problems. They will come to you when they have questions. They will not look for answers elsewhere. Yeah. We also need to include them in their plans. As you plan for your child, make sure that your child is part of the plan. That way you're providing them opportunities, you let them explore, be responsible, be able to solve problems, again, being independent. Definitely, they will have a coping mechanism. Exposure to day by day will lead them to learn more. Let's acknowledge their achievements. And of course, we need to be very careful on how they use social media. Yeah. Parents, make sure that your children are part and parcel of your daily schedule. When you have a daily schedule, ensure your children are part of it. That way you're able to spend quality time with your children. So thank you so much. We will now have the Q&A session. I believe my ICT team has opened the platform for any questions. Feel free to use the Q&A button. There's a chat option there. Please click on it and type a question if you have any. The floor is open to any questions. Do we have any questions? Zohraida, from my end, there is a question which has been really burning, yeah? Especially from teachers, yeah? Always getting to hear teachers saying that the current students are very difficult to handle. For the teachers who've taught in the previous era, they would say that the children are quite difficult to handle. Why is this so?
So when I'm asked such a question, the first thing I say is this is where your journey as a real teacher begins. When you find them difficult, that is what is going to shape you into the perfect educator for the 21st century. So looking at research during our time when we were born, rather, I would say the way our brain had developed within our mother's womb was very different. We were born with a minimum percentage of our brain developed after birth. After the experiences we went through, after the knowledge that we were acquiring, we developed further. Today, children are born with 80% of their brain already developed during the time when they're in their mother's womb. We learned through only one kind of teaching method. Today, when you look at research, especially Howard Gardner's research, there's 9 multiple intelligences. So today you have children who cannot just sit, listen, and focus because of the distractions, because of the way the brain is developing, making connections, synapses, the neurons working at rapid speed. Our brain is adapted to movement, to change, to focusing on different things, different ways. So we have learners who are auditory, we have learners who are visual, we have learners who are kinesthetic, who need to learn through movement, who need to learn through listening to things. I mean, it's not that they learn differently, but if I were to ask you a question, the nursery rhyme that you learned as a child, you still remember it till date. Why? Because you could be a rhythmic or a musical learner. The only difference is that in our days, these terms were not available. Now, with research and with modern advancement, these terms are available. So we know we have musical learners. We also know we have learners who are dramatic, means they need to enact a situation to understand it better. So there's nothing different, to be honest, between us as students ago and the learners right now. It's just the approach and the teaching method. That means the difference is with us educators. We need to change how we teach rather than saying that the children are different kinds of learners. And the one thing I always tell parents, it's not that I'm against anything, but when we go to the temple, when we go to the church, when we go to the mosque, and we have to listen to a lecture or a sermon, if it's a 45-minute session, 10 minutes and every adult is moving, fidgeting, trying to concentrate, have attention, have focus, because our brain is designed in such a way that we need constant feeding, constant connections. However, if you were to go and watch a children's movie or watch a drama, watch a skit, watch any kind of a movie, you would sit there for 3 hours, focused on the screen, focused on the event, not moving your eyes even once. Why? It's because the kind of media that is being used, the kind of the sound, the kind of the modulation, the kind of the story taking place, how it is involving you as a person. So honestly speaking, it's not the children who are different. It is us who need to adapt to changes and include that in our classes. Miss Mwanaidi, we can't hear you again. Still not. No, not yet. No. Maybe something that I will add on while you're trying to sort the sound from your end is one of the questions that we did discuss earlier, that there's a rise in the number of autistic children all of a sudden, and what could be the cause? So to be very honest, autism has quite a few channels. It could be the kind of environment the child is in, or the kind of environment the mother was when she was expecting, chemical exposure in the air, or it could be some of the medicines that the mother has consumed, some of the foods. It's basically genetically, but these are also other influencing factors for autism. However, looking at what the world is on about right now, the rise in autism is not only genetic, it is very much what we feed the child with. As in, when I talk about food, I'm talking about processed foods. It's a very busy world. The easiest thing for us to pack for children today is a packet of crisps or sausages or something serve them with the cereal in the morning. Now, you might tell me that cereals are healthy. They are healthy once in a while because it has what we need. But remember, these are processed foods. It's going through a whole process. It has unnatural sugars. It's got sodium. It's even the packet foods has excessive amount of sodium. It has MSG. Sausages are processed foods, fast foods, so they're made at very high temperatures. All these kinds of.
Very true, very true. I hope I'm clear now. Zohraida, Dr. Zohraida, we've lost you. To the members of the audience, can you hear me? The participants, yes, thank you. So we've lost Dr. Zohraida. She was actually attempting a question which I had shared earlier with her on the rampant in autistic children. There is rampant rise in autistic children. So that was why she was mentioning, saying that yes, there has been rampant rise in autistic children due to processed foods that pregnant women take, mothers take, and it has challenge. Yeah, I was just elaborating on your answer. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much for that, because from my end, I've noticed quite rampant rise in having whenever we're having intake, we have quite a number of children who are maybe mild to moderate autism. Yeah. And I used to think probably it's screen time. The current generation, they are born where screens are ready. There's a phone in their hand, and so probably. And like you've mentioned, now it's the processed foods when pregnant women take that. We have a question from one person. Let me just go through it. And I think this is also a question which I had in mind when I mentioned, do we stick to the traditional child rearing practices? So this question is, what would be the best guide you could share with parents on the thin line between punishment and positive behavioral connection?
Right. So my presentation actually had a little bit of that already. Let me just see and reiterate what I was talking about when it comes to discipline and punishment. So in today's world, if we want our children to be our friends, we need to discipline them in a positive manner rather than punish them or lash out at them. Not only our children, even at school level, when I see other schools and if they punish the child saying, oh, the child was running around and not listening to the teacher, so detention. I'm like, okay, what is detention actually teaching the child? Or you give the child timeout. What is timeout teaching the child? Basically, whether it's at school or at home, the most strongest form of discipline is sitting with the child, reasoning, discussing, asking about the feelings, what made the child do that. Please, as adults, we need to remember every action has a reaction. No child will all of a sudden just stand up and slap you on the face. There must have been something that was said to the child or done to the child, and the child did not have the right coping mechanism, hence the action that the child did. So, first of all, I'm very much against punishment because it only teaches the child that, okay, today I said a bad word, my mother slapped me. I have pain for a while, but that did not explain to me why I can't use the bad word. I can use it again. I have a second of pain after the slap, but I can keep reusing it because we're only teaching children how to become pain resilient or pain tolerant when we give them physical pain. But when you sit and discuss with your child, you give them reasoning skills, you explain to them why we do not use foul language, what the repercussions are. They have a brain that is processing information. They will understand it better than physical pain. So punishment is a no-no, it's discipline.
Perfect. And also for parents to note that at this century, children know their rights. They even taught child rights in school. So they know. They understand that this is my right. You're not supposed to touch me. You're not supposed to do this to me. And we ask parents most of the times, who are those who still go for corporal punishment, battering your child? And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It makes them more rebellious. They become so rebellious. And it even makes it worse for you as a parent now to manage that behavior. So I believe, yeah, like mention, I'll echo what you say, talking to the children, making sure they understand, and of course the repercussions of their actions. There's another question, the last one, maybe from the participants. My child picks a lot of things from their school environment, and that does pose a challenge. When they are younger, you can still explain to them, but when they are teenagers, they usually say that so and so doesn't like them, meaning the teaching staff. So how can we address this? I guess when they are older, they are informed that this one and this one doesn't like this or like you. They usually say that, So doesn't like this or doesn't like that child because of that behavior. When they are younger, you can talk to them, you can make them understand. But when they're teenagers, it's a whole different world altogether. So that's a question. Maybe we can wrap up with that.
So like I said, if you have open communication right from the very beginning, if you make your child feel special just the way they are, if you make them build the confidence that they are not like others and they will never be able to be like others because God has created them in a special way, a different way, as they grow, if you keep repeating this, if you keep mentoring them, whether their friends accept them or not, they will still know that they were made to shine out. I'll just quickly give an example. I run camps for young teenage girls, and I always talk to them about how they need to stand out, shine out, and not fall under peer pressure, especially in a world where girls have to have boyfriends if they want to be the page 3 kind of group. And this mother comes telling me, when you were mentoring and talking to my daughter, that was the third session, 3 years consecutively, her daughter attended my camps. She's like, my daughter was told that if you want to be our friend, you need to have a boyfriend. That's the rule of our gang. And she's like, well, I don't have a boyfriend and I'm not going to have a boyfriend because ethically, I don't think it is correct and I don't need to have a boyfriend to fit in with you. On the contrary, if you want me to be your friend, you have to forget about having boyfriends. And that's what she told her mom. And the mom is like, aren't you scared of being left out? And she's like, no, do you remember what Dr. Zoe used to say? That we don't have to fit in, we have to stand out. So I'm going to stand out and I want them to follow me because I know I'm doing the right thing. So again, this was when I was talking to her when she was already a teenager. But if this is the kind of information you provide to them much younger, the repercussions will show positive, like there will be no negative repercussion when they face this as teenagers, that, oh, they don't like me because I don't dress right, I don't have a latest mobile phone, I don't have a latest laptop, because it will not even be bothering her that she doesn't fit in, because she wants people to follow who she is rather.
Yeah, and this takes me to where now when they're in the middle childhood, they now want to be industrious, they want to perform. This is the time that when they do well, it actually brings about their self-esteem. That's why we have co-curricular activities. You can't be perfect everywhere. You know, you need to fit in, or you need to have a self-image that I'm good here, and maybe I am trying here, and this is me, this is me, this is my self-concept, this is me. And definitely, yes, being proud of themselves. When they have a high self-esteem, they will be proud of themselves regardless of the situation. And I think what you've shared with us this morning on them being responsible, and us according them room to also make decisions, and us according them room to also solve problems when they come across, there won't be such issues as per se. So thank you very much for that. I believe that's the last question. So maybe let me just wrap up and say, so we have got very good comments, very good. The session was helpful. I believe you had a lot to share. Yeah, but due to time constraints, yes, we actually planned for an hour. Maybe next time we plan for 2 hours. So please bear with us. We didn't have to have a very lengthy session, being our first webinar. Lovely, interesting session. So we will share the presentation. Dr. Zohraida has been kind enough to say we will share the presentation, and definitely we will have the link to this recording in our social media pages, Jaffery Academy Mombasa. So thank you very much for sparing your time and participating in today's webinar. We extend our appreciation to Swahili Pot Hub for having partnered with us in promoting today's webinar. We had, yes, a very good number. Thank you for that. I hope you found the information helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, communications@jafferyacademy.org. I'd like to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Zohraida Karim, for her time and effort in preparing and delivering the webinar. We have received a wealth of knowledge, and I am sure everyone will agree with me. It was indeed a wonderful presentation. Your knowledge and experience stood invaluable. Thank you so much once again. Have a lovely afternoon and a lovely weekend to everyone. Dr. Zohraida, on your end, thank everyone on your side.
I would say thank you for the opportunity. And there's a lot I could have still shared. There's so much I want to share, because I know parenting is a very challenging but a very fruitful journey. So hope for some more opportunities where we can definitely collaborate and share more, inshallah.
We are actually planning to have them either termly or monthly. We will plan and we'll see. And the reason of having this webinar, why did we come across having this webinar, is parents really walk into my office all the time, ask questions. It doesn't matter anyway. So at times we even sit for an hour just discussing and trying to raise the spirits of this parent who has issues. And I thought, yes, why not have webinars where we can have parents in and we share. So thank you so much for this, and bless you. Bless you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.